as I said, this is our chance to bring you some sounds happening around the county. We have loads of people living in Essex, don't we? 1.3 or 1.4 million. We have some amazing singers. We have some amazing bands. We have some amazing podcasters, YouTubers, community radio presenters. And in this part of the show, Wednesday nights at 7 until 8 p.m, this is their part of the show. And our chance here on BBC Essex to showcase the amazing talent we have right across Essex. I am very pleased to say my first guest in the studio this evening is a YouTuber. She is from Southend and she is Madeleine Swan. Good evening, Madeleine.
Hello, very nice to meet you and all of you as well.
Yes, thank you so much for coming in now. You are fabulously dressed, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. I do try.
And very dressed up for radio, so I'll just describe.
I did. I actually tweeted that. I tweeted a picture of myself and said,
good.
"This is me," before going on the radio.
Okay.
And everyone said, "Oh, it's you don't need to make that much effort for radio."
But I'm glad you did, because normally on YouTube, it's all about the effort with the appearance, isn't it?
Yes.
But you've got wonderful sort of purple and dark green hat and some lovely pearls and beautiful purpley eyeshadow. And just in case people are sort of thinking, how much effort has she gone to?
I've wandered through a purple fluffy cloud.
And a lovely cloud it was too. Madeleine, tell us about you. What is your sort of trade? How do you fill your days?
Well, I'm a writer. I write weird fiction, and I noticed that a group of other weird fiction writers in the UK were getting published in the same places as me. So we kind of formed a loose kind of support group, I suppose you could say, called ourselves the British Bizarro Community, like the BBC.
Oh, nice. Different kind of BBC.
Yeah, because we're mostly published in America, and that's so we kind of wanted our little group to stand out as British. So we're going to go to conventions and things like that together and do readings. And
can I ask you something? What is exactly weird fiction?
Okay.
Is it its own separate thing? You're not just sort of saying it's a bit weird. It's actually sort of a genre.
Well, it is a genre. It's kind of, I guess, Lovecraft is a small part of it, but there's also things like Junji Ito, Russian absurdists like Daniel Harms and so on. And it's kind of that, but very modern.
Okay. So I fear I will just expose my levels of ignorance. I haven't really sort of delved into this before, so I'm not familiar with any of those things. But it's clearly something that there is a lot of interest in from you and from people in your community of writers who've joined the group as well.
Yeah. Well, I was quite surprised at how much of a resurgence it's had. I don't know if you saw the film Annihilation, but
I did.
Yeah,
with Natalie Portman.
Yes,
it was on Netflix, and it was sort of just fantastic.
Yes, exactly. Well, it started off as a book, and the author of that is Jeff Vandermeer, and he's a kind of proponent of new weird fiction, and so it's quite popular, actually.
Yeah, and getting seemingly more into the mainstream if people are sort of making films about it and taking novels and turning them into motion pictures. Talk to me then about, because I know you were on the way before I interrupted you and said, what's weird fiction? YouTube, how does YouTube connect to all of this?
Well, I wanted to, I know it's a good way of finding out what normal people think of books that you want to read, and I just found myself Googling online reviews and so on, and found a group of YouTubers that I enjoyed watching, and then slowly sort of started to think to myself, well, I could do that as well. It's just from your room, it's easy enough, we'll give it a go. And I've been sort of building up very slowly. I haven't got, I'm getting more and more subscribers as I go on, and it's just quite fun. I just do it for fun, really. So,
I will ask more in a moment about how you come up with the ideas and how you even start such a thing. Let's have a little clip, though. This is Madeleine talking about the Essex Book Festival happening again this very month. The book festival takes place across the whole of March. But Madeleine, you went along in 2018 and did a little sort of YouTube video about it afterwards.
I won a spot at a writer's retreat at a place called Metal Culture in Southend, which was beautiful, for the Essex Book Festival. They provided food at the cafe, which was wonderful, and we had half an hour with writer Sid Moore. And there was a bookshop as well, and I could not help myself. You'll find my reading, that's everyone, hello. You'll find my reading in the Look East segment in the description below. And there were readings every day at 1 o'clock, and that's author Rachel Lichtenstein.
A little excerpt there of one of Madeleine Swan's YouTube videos. She is a YouTuber from Southend. The site really, Madeleine, for your writing interests. You've got something called BookTube where you are, of course, talking about the kinds of books you're interested in, the kinds of books you write. What was your first video? Can you remember?
Well, the first video it's kind of a basic get to know me sort of thing. Most booktubers, when they begin, there's they do these things called tags where it has the same questions and you just answer them. So I just went through that list of tags, the BookTube newbie tag, and told everyone who I was.
Amazing. And then the community can respond and sort of say hello or ask more about you, and that's the idea. Exactly. And that will apply to all sorts of YouTube genres, because it's not just BookTube. There'll be all sorts of things where newbies can get to know each other.
That's the good thing about it. There's communities for pretty much anything that you can think of. There's candle reviewing communities and all kinds of stuff, Once you start scratching the surface of YouTube, you can go down the rabbit hole, can't you? Into definitely
all of these genres. We will hear more from Madeleine in just a moment. You are listening to BBC Essex with Jodie Halford and Essex Sounds. Let's have our first check tonight on how the roads and rails are looking, shall we? My first guest in the studio tonight, Madeleine Swan, is a YouTube sort of video maker, we'll call you, or just YouTuber, Madeleine.
YouTuber, I suppose,
they're all fine, aren't they? And you're from Southend.
Yes.
Your site is your channel is a place where you can sort of talk about books you love, sometimes thoughts you have around what you're writing and what others are writing. How do you come up with the ideas when you're going to make a video?
It tends to sort of come on a whim, I suppose. If I can't think of anything else, I will talk about the books that I've been reading, do like a little roundup of what I've read that week, or if there's a particular subject, like something I've noticed on Twitter or something pops into my head, then I'll talk about that instead.
Let's have another little clip of some of your previous work. Women in Horror Month. This is you talking about a book called The Drowning Girl. You read that in connection with Women in Horror Month. When was that? Was it recent?
It was February, yeah.
Oh, okay. A whole month of Women in Horror. Anyway, this is Madeleine Swan from a YouTube channel.
Hello, it's Women in Horror Month, Women in Horror Month. That's our theme song now. The first one I will recommend is The Drowning Girl by Caitlin R. Kiernan. It's the story of an unreliable narrator. She meets a girlfriend who is trans and also this other girl who she thinks she either met in June or she met her in November. And if she met her in June, the story takes on a mermaid vibe, and if she met her in November, it's like Little Red Riding Hood and the Wolf and much darker.
Got me rather intrigued there, Madeleine. It's quite good to hear a little excerpt of that. We do have one more excerpt to play. Do you find you're getting responses? Are people interacting with you and finding you and talking about books and getting the conversation going?
Yes, they are actually, surprisingly. It's a kind of community thing. If you make the effort to look for people who are interested in the same thing, they'll come to you as well. So you kind of share thoughts and comment on each other's videos, and it becomes a community thing.
Is it a supportive place? Because as ever with social media, it can be a really supportive place with people being amazing and encouraging, or it can be somewhere where there's negativity. How do you find YouTube videos?
Well, generally I'd say it is very supportive, but it kind of depends on, I did do a video on Lovecraft, and I don't know if you know, but I think it's the World Fantasy Horror Convention were changing the statue of him to, I think, just more of a generic thing, because I don't know if you know, but Lovecraft has got some troubling things around racism and that kind of
Yes,
thing.
I'm happy to admit I know nothing about that particular topic.
I did a thing where I was for changing it. I do like Lovecraft stories, but it's an unpleasant thing that we can kind of still read his stories, but kind of move on from that in society, perhaps.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of fans still, and they weren't keen. So
your video was being shared by fans who were then probably commenting and saying,
very
how dare you, and things of that nature. So you have kind of seen both sides.
I've seen both sides, and it kind of it does toughen you up a little bit. I stuck to my guns, really, and I heard out the more sensible sounding people and just ignored the rest, really. So you just kind of, it might happen, and when it does, it's awful, but you just kind of get through it, you know?
How would you describe it then, being a YouTuber? Is it predominantly fun? Is it a chore sometimes? If you're thinking, I haven't posted anything for a while, I better get on it. Or is it a combination of the two? How do you feel about it?
It can be a bit of a combination. I kind of, I don't put too much pressure on myself. I do tend to post once a week, but I don't keep to a strict day or anything like that. And I'll just do I might miss a week if I have to, but I just do like a quick chat of what I've been reading if I don't want to do anything too much. So yeah, it's not too bad.
And is there a bit of a community? I know you've got your own community, but have you ever met sort of other local people doing the same as you? Because we know there are loads of Essex YouTubers out there, and we're going to feature them on the show. But have you sort of met people in real life who are doing the same?
Actually, no, I haven't. I would be interested to do that.
Well, we'll keep you in the loop then.
Okay.
As the weeks go by, you could maybe meet some more people and share tips and stuff. Madeleine Swan, thank you so much for coming. I'll just throw in, I loved seeing the pictures of Taliston on your website. Taliston, for those not in the know, is a marvellous ex-council house in Great Dunmow that the owner has transformed into the house of his dreams, and it has got rooms you would not believe in it, hasn't it? It just looks like nothing else.
It's a fantasy, basically. The front room is like a Victorian place, and the study, which is where I stayed over one night. You can do like a B&B type thing there, and I stayed over and wrote in the study because I loved the 1920s, and it's a 1920s office, and it's just brilliant. And the bedroom is it's called the Haunted Bedroom, and it's sort of styled after Victorian Scotland. So, yeah. I
saw the video. If people want to have a look for themselves and watch your YouTube channel, where can they find it? What are you called?
What's my channel called?
Yeah.
It's just my name, Madeleine Swan, and it's all right there.
Lovely. So people can have a little look if they would like to. Thank you so much for coming in, Madeleine. It's been really lovely to meet you. We have more coming up here on Essex Sounds, live music for you in just a moment. Let us enjoy some more music that's not live. First off, though, this is brand new. It is from Khalid and Disclosure.